Okay, so I was telling my Uncle Derek. I ran down the hallway. I told my Uncle Derek at the hospital that they was in there killing my mom. I was like, they in there taking the oxygen off of her, and she was doing better, because they had left me up there with her. It was March 9th that she passed away. And, my mom was saying she didn't want them to give her no more medicine because she started out with just one little lump under her arm. And then she started doing the chemo, and then they burned her whole body with radiation. They cut off her nipples. They cut off her breast. They shot her up with all kind of poison. It caused boils to come all over her body, and then blood to pus out of it. And I went to a doctor's appointment with her, and this white lady took a needle and stabbed it into the little boil. And my mom was like, "Ow!" And I knew, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to stab her that damn hard with that goddamn needle. And it was her second time having cancer before, but supposedly she had Hodgkin's disease before, and they were saying that they couldn't use the same treatment that they used that cured her before because it was a whole nother type of cancer, and that they would have to do something else. And then they did all of this. They burned her body, they shot her up with poison, they stabbed her with syringes. They killed her. And then they took her oxygen off of her face and suffocated her. And then my family got $500,000. And I got $100,000 of it. But I didn't want her to die, and I didn't know about the money. So when I went to tell my family that my mother was in the hospital room, first of all, I told my mama not to do the chemo because I had started doing research, and I started listening to Dr. Sebi, and Dr. Sebi was saying, or Dr. Sebi was saying that that'll kill her, and that not to do it, and to just go natural holistic way to get rid of the lump. So I told my mama I'd take care of her and do the natural healing that Dr. Sebi had taught me. Because I heard that he won the case where they was accusing him, trying to take him to prison because he cured somebody of AIDS, and he won. So I knew he knew what he was talking about the medicine being in the food and in our diet and nutrition and stuff like that. And so my mama, after the white lady stabbed her, the young white lady stabbed her with the syringe in the hospital. I remember I was praying over my mama and Vanessa relationship. In the middle of the night, I'd be praying upstairs, and then Vanessa would get up and come and leave out the room. She got up and left out of the room with my mom and came up to stay in the guest room. And then my mama had went to the doctor, and they said that the cancer was gone. And then Vanessa went back in the room with my mom and started standing there, and then the cancer came back. And my mom said that the doctor said the cancer came back. And then Vanessa started trying to get me up out the house. And so, and telling my mama I was a bum. So I had went and got 2 jobs, but I had already been working with people abusing me. So I had got 2 jobs, and my mama was kind of delirious from the sickness and the medications. And she was like, "My baby got 2 jobs. My baby got 2 jobs." She was like, "Vanessa was telling me you was a bum. Vanessa was telling me my baby was a bum. See, I told y'all my baby not no bum. I told y'all." And they was in there telling my mama that stuff about me. Like, talking about she a bum and she this. Because she wouldn't have said it if they wasn't telling her that. And both of my jobs, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to work at McDonald's. And then when I get off McDonald's at like 11, 12, I bring my mama lunch. I bring her my lunch home. And then I get up and I go to work at Walmart. And I get off from Walmart at like 12 o'clock at night. And then I found out I made enough money to pay my mama mortgage. And then so I was like, "Okay, Ma, I'll pay the mortgage." And she was telling me that Vanessa was kind of psychologically abusing her, so and that she wanted her to leave it, but she was helping her with the bills now because she was sick. At first, Vanessa had lied at my mama's funeral and said that my mama asked her to move in because she was sick and she needed help with the bills, but that was a lie. Vanessa was struggling with her bills where she was at, and my mama made more money than her. My mama was running a hospital, and Vanessa was working for some factory. And so my mother told me that Vanessa asked to move in with her to help Vanessa out. So, and Vanessa was gonna rent her property out to her nephew and move in with my mom so she could get on her feet. And so after Vanessa moved in, her mom and her family and them started bringing over all these big old pots of porridge and all of this stuff. And they were saying they was from another town and they was bringing over crawfish. And Vanessa was always feeding my mama, and my mama was in the bed. And they went to Mexico, and she left my mama down there by herself arguing with my mama. And my mama was crying and telling me that she didn't really want Vanessa there. But she didn't really have nobody else, and she was exercising and she was healthy. Next thing you know, she got the lump under her arm, and she started doing the chemo and stuff, and then she got sick. But Vanessa had been there for a minute. My mama was not sick when she came, so that was a lie for her to get up there at the funeral and say that my mama asked her to move in because she was sick. Maybe my mama didn't want me to know she was sick, but that's not what my mother told me. I'm just going off of what my mother told me. She said Vanessa needed help. And so people was always moving in and using my mom to get on their feet. And God was saying something about I was a lot like my mother because I would get with these guys and then they wasn't no good for me, and then they could take your life. And I'm not, but I'm just letting y'all know that when my mama told me she didn't want to do the chemo no more, she was like, you right about that medicine. She was like, will you go to a natural doctor with me in Chicago? And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. And then she was like, never mind, Vanessa said she'll miss me if I leave. So I'm going to just stay here and finish doing the chemo. And she stayed. And so that day when they was taking the oxygen, they had told me, they kept telling me my mama was brain dead. One day they asked me to watch my mama, and they were saying she couldn't walk. And then I had went over there and I had cooked her some spinach and stuff, some natural spinach, and I let her eat it. And then she was like, oh, I feel so much better. She was like, I want to go outside. And she got up and started walking. And then she walked right outside on her own and sat down on the porch. And then I was with Christopher at the time. And this was after Vanessa and them had made my mom kick me out at the Aaron and them girls came over and jumped me at the house. Just jealous. Vanessa was telling my mom that I needed to leave the house because some girl came and jumped me at the house because she was jealous of my relationship with the guy. And my mama was like, can you stay with me, please? And everybody had left. Vanessa left my mama. She was gone. Shakina was gone. And it's crazy how nobody wanted me around, you know what I'm saying? But then my mama was healthy like when I left. Then they called me to come over and she was like that. And I would never let nobody hurt her. I was always the one to take up for her and fight for her since I was a little girl. And Larissa and Shakina just sit there crying if somebody was hurting her. But I run up on them. You know, I run up on the dude like, don't you hit my mama, or you know, whatever. And so this is why I got to get into my life story, because there was a lot of setups going on to hurt me when I didn't even know what was going on. And people knew that I was the one that was supposed to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? And that's why my mama was always looking at me like that and feeling guilty and, you know, stuff. I know I got to get into detail, but she was asking me, could I stay with her? She was like, can you stay with me? But she never wanted me around. She was always pushing me away and choosing Vanessa and Shakina to be around her. And they was using her. I never did. You know, anytime I came around, my mother did something for me, it's like she felt guilty about it. And God was letting me know that they didn't want my mom to leave me no money. But my mama did anyway. She left me $100,000 too. And they didn't want her to leave me anything. They felt like I shouldn't have got any of the money. So when I had got married because they had put me out the house at my mom's house, and I had been working. I had a job at Jason's Deli. I had a job at Walmart. I had twice. I had a job at McDonald's. I had a job at Subway. I had a job at Target. And I was supposed to get hired at Goodwill, but I talked to them so they can give Shakina her first job at Goodwill. And she had been in college and never had a job. And Larissa never really kept a job either, but here they was calling me a bum just because they was living off of mama and daddy and going to a university. And wasn't going to college anymore, but I had never lived off of my parents. I had always been from place to place, having my own place, and people trying to rob me in my home and all kind of stuff. And then the time when my mama would ask me to come move in with her, it was like it was a setup because it was always somebody there to try to fight me when I came. So when they put me out, I got sex trafficked. And then I met my husband, Christopher Delaney, while I was being sex trafficked. And he was a man that was involved with the sex trafficking, but he didn't want me doing it, and I didn't want to be doing it, and so he married me. And my mother was sick during this time, and Christopher and his family was behaving very abusively towards me. And I started working at Sears and I started working at Ross, and they were being abusive at the companies. As far as color, they would make the white girls work a certain shift and make the black girls work a certain shift, and then they would make us do far more work than the white women, and they wouldn't give us any days off or time off. We always had to be on call. And they were very mean to us while we were working. And then when I was working at the Ross, they had us segregated. They had us in the back of the store, and they paid us the lowest wage they could pay us. And they had the African girl right here next to me, and they had me in the middle, and then they had the mulatto girl right there. And they had us unpacking all of the bags in the store. And the Mexican man was coming to the back, and he was abusing us. He was being abusive towards us. Talking about, it's not enough work. You're not doing enough. You're not working fast enough. And then the white girls, and they got to work in the front of the store, and they weren't abusive to them. But they had us segregated by our ethnicities in the back of the, in the Ross. And we was the ones unpacking everything and putting it out on the floor for everybody to shop. And I would come home and tell my husband, about it. And he was abusing me. And he was abusing me with the Hispanic women in the neighborhood. They were stealing my packages. If I ordered some packages to come, the Hispanic women would steal my packages that I ordered from my money. And then they would say that the package didn't come, and the mail people were saying that they brought it. And then they started telling my husband that I couldn't live in the apartment with him, that I had to leave the property and stuff like that. So they were sex trafficking me in the neighborhood. Like, he wouldn't give me any money. And then he was like saying he wanted a divorce. And I remember when I left him, I didn't have my inheritance yet, and they was trying to sex traffic me around that time as well. And then while I was with him, they was trying to sex traffic me, but I had a job, and I was trying my best to hold on to the job. And so when my mother was passing away, I started going to church a lot, and then I asked the people to pray for my womb because I had never got pregnant, and they prayed for me. And I asked them to pray for my mother, and the people that was abusing me, because Christopher family was trying to abuse me, and his father and his mother and his auntie and his grandmother, and Christopher was trying to abuse me. And then my family was saying that I could not live with them. So that's how I met Christopher during sex trafficking. And I didn't really want to be with him at first, but he was, the man who was taking care of me. So I felt like I would give glory to God by honoring him with my body, and being faithful to him for doing the right thing and taking care of me or whatever. So then, when my auntie Barbara called me and said my mother was going to die, and I was like, well, how you know she going to die? You not God. She was like, no, she's going to die. So this is some real satanic crap that's going on, because no person has the right to say when another person is going to live or when they are going to die. I don't care if they're on their last leg. There was a man named Priest. He was cool with my ex-boyfriend Larry. And Priest was in the hospital, and they were saying he was on his deathbed. And I told them, I said, tell he was on life support. And I told them, I said, tell his mama that I said, give him one more day. Don't take him off that life support. And I was praying for him. And then Priest survived. And I saw him again on the train in Atlanta. And he was like, thank you so much for praying for me and telling my family not to take me off life support, because he didn't die. So when they did that to my mom, they had took her off of the air. It was just oxygen. So they suffocated her. And then they left me with her body. So they told me I didn't have no right to her. And then they left me with her body. So when my auntie called me up to the hospital and said my mom was going to die, every time I came to the hospital to try to be up there with them, they was all running me off and trying to fight me or leave me there. My husband was causing all kind of trouble at the house, so I didn't know what to do. So I stayed with my mom for a little bit, and then they was like, Shakina was going to leave me up there with her. But I ain't want to be left up there, because my mother was kind of being sort of abusive to me in her home. And, I was like, if I was there with her, I could have took care of her. I could have made sure she was all right. If anybody was hurting her, I would have stopped them. You know what I'm saying? So for her to be sitting right there dying, and then you surrounded by the people that's using you and abusing you and claiming to be the ones to taking care of you. But then you want to call me when you on your deathbed and try to make me feel sorry like I'm the one who did it. I don't like that, because it's not my fault. I didn't do it. They did it. So why I got to be the one to come and look at you like that when I'm the one who tried to save your life? But you ain't want me around, because you wanted to be with the cool crowd. Because who want to just be sitting up with Andrea all day long? Nobody. But Andrea the one going to take care of you. Andrea the one going to make sure you straight. But the world don't accept me, though. So you want to hang out with the ones that the world accept. And then when you end up all dead on your deathbed, then you want to call Andrea. And you want me to sit there with you like that and let you die in your misery. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm not finna sit there feeling sorry. I'm not finna let you die in your misery. I'm going to try to do something to help you. I'm going to give you some stuff that's going to get you better. I have the power of healing. And my God name is Jesus Christ, and I can lay hands on folk. And stuff happens. And that's why the devil don't like me. And so I was over there trying to heal my mama. And, I was telling them, you got to feed her certain stuff, because Dr. Sebi had taught me a lot about the food. And so I was telling them, don't feed her that. Y'all got to feed her this stuff. I'm telling you, man, because when I come over, I'm feeding her the healthy stuff and she getting better. And then when I come back over here, she worse than she was before. And I'm telling y'all, stop feeding her this crap. Whatever medicine and crap you putting in her, just stop. Because you killing her.